Hey, how's it going? It's Neil from the King Realty Group. Hope you're having a good day. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to review the stats of October 2018 for the Toronto Real Estate Board. Here we go. Hey guys, thanks again for joining us. We're going to review the statistics of the Toronto Real Estate Board. What happened with our housing market in the past month. We're talking October 2018. We're comparing to last year, 2017, and we're taking a look at a few things. So just to give you a recap on what we actually cover in this video here is we talk about the average price point across all GTA house types. We also talk about detached homes, semi-detaches, townhomes, and also condominiums as well. We do also take a look at micro markets within the GTA. We're talking about the Toronto region, but we're also talking about Durham. We're talking about York region. We're talking about Peel, and we're taking a look at where we stand in those little micro markets. Are we in buyer markets? Are we in seller markets? And I think that information is very valuable to you as homeowners and also prospective buyers out there to give you a better idea what's going on in the marketplace, and so that you can make better decisions when you actually make these big decisions when it comes to real estate and housing. All right. So first and foremost, let's take a look at the actual numbers. Let's take a look at the GTA average price point for the different housing types. Let's put it up on the screen right now. So as we see, guys, the GTA average price right now is $807,340. That's actually up 3.5% from October 2017. So there's a positive increase, and we've been noting that in the last few months has been a string of positive numbers, and when we compare it to 2017. We're looking at detached homes as well, and we have that at 1,019,416, 416 at the end there, and that is a Toronto area code, obviously. We're up 1% with detached homes, guys, and that's great because in last month, actually, we were actually down 0.06, well, we're in positive numbers again for detached homes. 1% is still better than nothing or better than negatives. Semi-detaches, guys, we have them at 816,657. That's up 6.6%. Townhomes at 655,777, up 4.1%. And that's actually the exact same increase that we had in the month of September as well. In condos, guys, we had them at 562,523, and that's up 7.5%. Great numbers, guys. Majority positive. Well, actually, all of them are positive this month around, and we have an overall increase of 3.5% when we look at all of the GTA, which is also a great number. Keep in mind, guys, that these numbers are macro, meaning that they cover a broad range, and we're not talking about our micro markets here. We're really just talking about the GTA 416 and 905 areas, and that's what these numbers are all made of. If you want to know, hey, what's going on in Durham region, what's going on in Peel region, or what about just the city of Toronto? I want to know how detached homes are doing there. Detached homes in the city of Toronto are up well over $1 million as an average price for a detached house, for example. And so depending on what micro market you're in, these numbers may be higher or lower, okay? And so if you want to get that information, you want to get that specific, then definitely give us a quick call or text. Information below right here, info@kingrealty.co, and also 647-931-1313, just to make sure that you get that information specifically for your neighborhood. Okay, guys, let's put up the sales. I'm going to put the number up right now. You see that sales are at 7,492. That's actually up 6% from last year, 2017. That's a good increase. Okay, obviously last year we had a little bit of a blip in the market, and so now we're noticing that we're having a better year, and we are recovering from some of the lows that we experienced before. And it seems like the people are a lot more confident in housing. They're looking at it as a long-term investment, which is really the way that you should look at real estate. You shouldn't be worried about what's going to happen in a year from now or 2 years from now. If you're buying a house and staying there for 5 or more years, or even 10 or more years, things that happen within a year or in the short term really don't impact you. Okay, it only impacts the person who's looking to buy a house today and sell it in a few months or sell it in a year as a flip or something like that. Then you got to be really careful of what the trends are in the short term, because it will affect you. But for in general, though, when people buy property, even in an investment scenario, most of the time they buy in whole. They hold on to it for a lot longer than a year or two, and for that reason, the short-term ups and downs don't really impact us. And I would say, in general, just because our ceiling is so high in other major markets around the world in major cities, a property or real estate is a lot more expensive than the city of Toronto. Actually, even our neighbors to the west, out in Vancouver, which is the other urban hub, their prices are actually a lot higher than here us in Toronto as well. So there's a lot of ceiling, a lot of growth still available for us into the future. And so I would say our trajectory is always going to be in the upward trend, whether that be double-digit increases on a year-to-year basis or single-digit increases. I would say we're going to experience increases. What my point is. So if you're purchasing property long-term, which is how you should be looking at real estate, then you will be fine, guys. If you want any specific details about what you're thinking about doing or your specific situation, get in touch, guys, and we'll analyze that and give you a better response. All right, guys, now we're going to move on to the months of inventory. We covered different micro regions, but before we do that, I just wanted to point out I do have a little bit of a wardrobe change. Now, I didn't do that on purpose. I had to cut the other video short. Something came up and I had to take care of it, and so now I had to do this in two different parts, and that's the reason I have a different shirt on. Okay, but let's continue with the information regardless. Let's put it up on the screen here and take a look at the months of inventory for different micro markets that we cover. First off, it's the Toronto micro market. So in Toronto, we have 1.86 months of inventory. That is teeter-tottering into the seller's market, guys. We've always been around the 2 months of inventory mark pretty much throughout the whole entire year. Obviously, the closer you are to zero, the more into a seller market that you are. Obviously, in the city of Toronto, there's definitely a lot of pockets that have bidding wars, and a lot of people want to get into the city of Toronto regardless. As you go outside of the city of Toronto into other GTA markets, things change a little bit. So looking at Durham here, we have 2.6 months of inventory. In Peel, we have 2.2 months of inventory. So pretty much Durham, Peel, and Toronto, all kind of in the same sort of mix. Similar months of inventory, meaning that we're more so on the seller market side, as long as you're marketing your property properly and also picking your right price. That's going to make the biggest difference when you're actually selling property. You don't want to overprice something. You don't want to try bidding wars in markets where it's not working, because you could get burned. I don't want people picking such high numbers and staying on the market for months and months and months. I do notice that a lot. I notice a lot of properties that are being terminated and relisted or expired, and they're choosing lower price points. You got to really be close to market value in this at this point in time in many of the markets in the GTA. Outside of maybe some pockets of Toronto. All right, so York region, guys, we have 4.34 months of inventory out there. Still same sort of thing, more or less in a balance to more buyer market territory. So you got to be very careful about pricing out there as well, especially if you're competing against many other homes in the same communities. But as a buyer, if you're going out to York region, like obviously out in Aurora, for example, Newmarket, even some areas of Richmond Hill, Vaughan, then you have a little bit more bargaining chip. You can go out there and negotiate a bit. And that's really what these numbers tell us. It really lets us know if we're in a buyer's market or seller's market. How is this micro market actually performing? However, these regions are pretty big as well. So if you want to get a little bit more in depth and you want to get some more information about your particular pocket and wherever you live in the GTA, then we'll do that, and then we can give you some more specific stats. Okay, guys, so that's the months of inventory along with price points that we talked about a little earlier. The last thing is just talking about some of the key takeaways. And obviously down below we have a little blurb of the things that we covered. But one of the things I want to emphasize is that from September 2018 into this month, or obviously into October, we actually went up 1% in average price, which is a positive. It means that we did go up month to month. Also, though, we've actually had a pretty significant sales growth since late spring. In fact, it's a little bit lower than maybe our record pace in 2016. But 2016 was a sales record, which was over and above like any other year in the Toronto Real Estate Board history. So here, 2018, after a bit of a slump, it's nice to see that we're having growth in sales, especially since late spring in 2018. Still under 2016 levels, which is okay, because at the end of the day, buyers and homeowners still look at investing in property or having a home as a long-term investment, a positive long-term investment. And that's definitely how they should be looking at it, especially with the little kind of a rant that I had a little bit earlier in this video talking about real estate and looking at it as a long-term investment versus short-term. If you're flipping, that's a different story. We can talk about how we can minimize any sort of impact for you. We have some nice spreadsheets, and we actually plan things out before you purchase property to know exactly what you're going to make with conservative numbers later. And that's the way we kind of attack that. Other than that, guys, we do have still some good regional economic growth. We have population growth as well in this region. And for that reason, we're going to have demand into the future. People like moving into Ontario, especially into the GTA. And for that reason, we still have a lot of demand. Supply still is actually an issue in a lot of pockets of the GTA, especially in the downtown core. And for that reason, we want government to kind of step in and kind of ease up on the restrictions to supply and allow us to build a lot more, especially entry-level types of housing, medium to entry-level for sure, because those are the higher demanded property types. Most population are looking for those type of housing options, and so we need to have a little bit more of that in the marketplace to have a little bit, that equilibrium between demand and supply, which would be great. And that's kind of what I wanted to take away. Now, the other thing that I've been seeing a lot in some articles is talking about a little bit more transparency in bidding war situations. And so they're kind of talking about allowing auctions. Well, I think, we're actually able to do auctions in real estate transactions already. It's just that it's not a common thing that people do. I invite you to actually Google how real estate bidding wars work out in Australia. It's not behind closed doors. And I've had a lot of complaints. Well, what was the other guy bidding? Well, you never know those things, right? In the traditional Ontario bidding war, everything's kind of behind closed doors. You're kind of hoping for the best, and you're pushing up this price. And you're not really sure where to stop because you're not really sure where everyone else is. And so they're thinking about, maybe broadening, or not broadening, but making it a little bit more popular, the auction. So go Google how auctions and bidding wars work in Australia. There's videos about it. You can see it's just like a traditional. Okay, I pick this price. It's like, okay, does anybody want to go higher? Other people pick, okay, I'll go higher, and it'll stop where it stops. But everybody knows what the previous price was because everybody's outside and everybody knows what they're offering. Okay, so it's a little bit of a different twist on the bidding war thing, a little bit more transparent, I think. I don't know, is it a thing? What do you guys think? Comment back. Do you think auctions should be included? Should we do more auctions in Ontario? Google it and see what you guys think. Other than that, guys, please get in touch. You can subscribe to us here on YouTube. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. We do a lot of stuff on Instagram, a lot of stories. On Facebook, sometimes we do home tours when we do our open houses. And we also do content related to buyers and sellers and common questions that we get on YouTube. So definitely subscribe to us when you get some more questions. And we're going to do a lot more investor videos as well over the next few months. Probably going to start a lot more in 2019 though, and I think that's stuff that you should definitely be looking out for, especially if you're an investor. Okay. Any questions, guys? Get in touch. info@kimrealty.to. Again, phone number is 647-931-1313. We'll be waiting here to actually answer your questions, guys. That's what we love to do, and kind of set you guys in the right direction so you make the best decisions possible when it comes to real estate. Okay. Have a good day, guys. Thanks so much for joining us once again. Take care.